have met. Like she is like already done everything which I want to do. Can I say that, Cam? Not to tell how old are you, but just to say like you have accomplished so much in the short period of time in your own life. Like you have already had an exit of $1 million business. You have started a non-profit. You are a business savvy, like you know the overall, like it's just amazing, like all the knowledge you have. And now you are our marketing guru for our book too. Like you just did all this beautiful research, and I just love how much effort you have put in the book, and your story is so impactful. It's like four stories coming together. And I'm just so grateful for you to be here. And you currently live in Minnesota. Is that correct? Correct, Cam?
That's true. Thank you for such a wonderful, heartwarming intro, Kanika. I appreciate that. Yes, I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Awesome, awesome. So Cam, before we like start, I really want to know like what inspired you to write this story?
Honestly, I feel it's you gals. When we came together as a powerhouse of women and we were just chatting and we all kind of came together and we wanted to share our stories, especially Indian women, our journey, our struggles, which we felt needed to be shared because there are others who are in similar situations and maybe could get the motivation, get the drive that they need through our stories. That if we can do it, we can rise above certain situations, they can as well. So I have to say, I wouldn't have been able to write this without you all. It wasn't an easy story to write, and I think there's still a lot that's unsaid. It's like the iceberg. It's not all of what I wanted to write, but yes, it does hit on some critical things. So I feel like you all inspired me to write my story too, and I kind of am so grateful for Shoma and her patience because mine was one of the last ones that came about. So I really appreciate you all for
And I'm
helping
so, I
getting
think
past.
we all are so inspired by your story. Like, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And you have been like so vulnerable in there. So thank you so much. I know it was not easy through all our conversation when you were writing this book. You were not sure which part to keep, which part to remove. But I just loved it how it is like written, and you written it with so much love and care and with so much nurture. This one part of the story, Cam, which I could relate to so much, was herd mentality. Like you talk about like not really following that. And I think through all the four different stories you are telling, one story is like when you were a little child, when your mom had to go to work, and what an inspiring mom to have too, like who served the country. So I think that's such a, like, I think I'm sure you're always close to your country, right? Because of that you get that kind of like what do you call that, love for your country, like there's probably a good word for it. But I think you talk about that moment in that story where your mom was going and you were 3 year old and you did not knew exactly what was happening and you felt that void. Then you talk about the story of such a vulnerable story of like you being in school and someone coming and you not knowing exactly what happened, but in your heart you know something is wrong. And like uh, you share the story of losing dad and how that void has played in your life and how it has triggered everything. And then the void of like going and finding your own career, like going to this new city and building your career and not be that person who goes what everyone say you need to be a doctor, but like finding your own path, not finding that herd mentality. Can you talk about that, Cam?
Absolutely. I feel like, first of all, I feel like we are confined with our vision. I think I kind of stated very well in the book. I kind of mentioned that we are a sum total of our experiences, right? Both good and bad, because those
Mm.
experiences form our beliefs. And oftentimes it's people around us that subtly are giving us our beliefs, right? They're giving us our beliefs. And it's all from the perspective of love. It's all from a perspective of nurturing, caring, protection. But it's my story is no different than many others, right? As women, when we are born and when we are raised out of love and affection, still we are made to feel small. We are made to feel insignificant in some ways or fashion. We are made to feel like you're someone we have to take care of. You are someone we have to protect from the world. And it's all from love and care, right? So I think the moment I was born, if my dad had his way, and God bless his soul, and I know he had the best of his intentions, it was to get me, you know how we read those English novels that you go to prep school, like even the
Mhm.
richest and the richest and the finest of the finest go and get prepared. Everything that's done from the moment you're born till you're married, it's to prep you to get the good alliance, a good groom, a perfect, comfortable life where you could be protected and taken care of just like we do, right? But I feel grateful that one thing that came out of it was that my mom was from a place where she was way ahead of our generation. Like she was the first one from her so-called, her family was farmers back in Punjab. She was the first one, and her dad was always like, you can do this, you can do this. And I think probably India was seeing that movement through that time because Indira Gandhi was the only daughter of Jawaharlal Nehru. That's when all the Marriage Act came about, that you can't have multiple wives, and that's when the act came that women could actually own property. And I think my grandpa, my mom's dad, was very inspired with that. And he had two daughters, and then the third one was a son. And he always inspired them to be places where other women are not. So my
Mhm.
mom, and during her time, was served in the Indian Army. She was the first one to leave from her village and do that. So I think she had that in her, that no matter, I think in some ways she agreed with that women need to be protected. And I don't know, and she hasn't shared if it was from her journey being outside and being there that she felt the need to protect me. I'm not sure, but she did. But she was very clear that education was paramount.
Mhm.
Getting educated, getting the top-notch education was paramount. And my dad agreed to that. But when you put your child in that situation, and when you have teachers like I did, who tell you, go get Reader Digest, go see what the world is doing, go read all the English, literature, go do this. And it may sound very silly, but it's so true that when examples around you are unhappy marriages, women just waiting with a platter to serve their men and children, women, eating after everyone else, women, the primary responsibility to do laundry and housework, and not to go out and be doctors and engineers and go to the moon and whatnot. Yes, there are examples of that in our society, but look at the sum total of what was happening around me. Those were the stories, that was the narrative. But
Mhm.
Reader's Digest gave me a different narrative, that there were stories of these powerful women who could go out and do things, who could go out and become something, right? So yes,
Mhm.
if I had not had that, I would not have said, no, I don't want to be a teacher or a doctor or something else that a woman is a right career for women. And I've never had this conversation with mom, but I kind of feel like, mom, I mean, although she served in the army as a nurse, which was apt for women, like you could be a nurse, but
Mhm.
couldn't be in the army. But I still feel like you went out the norm, right? You left home. So there was, I think that sparked that Reader's Digest, having that window. If I didn't have that, like, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Mhm.
And it's that whole concept of someone did the 4-minute mile and now you feel like you can do it too. So
Mhm.
those stories truly were an inspiration for me growing up and casting a vision and a belief that was bigger and beyond myself.
So beautiful. Wow.
Inspiration is very, very key, right? And even in your stories, you're using so many powerful quotes on so many different sources that bring your story very nicely together. But every single quote that you chose to add in, every single quote that was a pivot point in your life, how have you seen all these adversities and all the challenges that you have faced made you the woman that you are today?
I would not be an ounce of a person I am today if it weren't for those moments, if it weren't for those defining moments in my life. And those quotes are not just quotes, they were my incantations as I was going through and growing up in the surroundings that I were. When you don't have people around you telling you that you can do this, words that you read, the words that you say in your head, the words that you repeat to yourself, they make and shape your world, right? So those quotes, all of those actually came from my journal. I actually found a journal from early 1990s. So those quotes were all the quotes that made me who I am today, because they weren't like, we weren't being inspired in the way, go do this, you can do this, anyone can do this. But those words and those quotes made my life, shaped my life. And I really encourage every woman to think through and that your words make your world, and choose your words wisely, and find sources of inspiration wherever it is, whether it's from an inspiring show, people around you, books, no matter where. So those quotes are very dear to me.
And it's beautiful how you mentioned incantations, because incantations, for those who don't know, is when you're really owning the words, when you're really allowing the words to hit you home, to make you move, to make you change. And you have done that so beautifully. And there's so many also out there who face adversity, face that pain, but get stuck into it. So, what was your magical thing that you feel that didn't allow you to stay stuck?
I think journaling was huge. And journaling in terms of, like, sometimes we journal our thoughts and feelings, and we journal what we are going through right now. For me, that wasn't self-serving, because when I started doing that, I'm a very emotional person. So I'll go and feel that emotion, and it'll actually bring me down. So I had to change my journaling in terms of future casting, becoming the person that I want to be, as opposed to what's happening right now. It was more solution focused than focusing on the current situation. So I think journaling was huge in my life, and I encourage everyone to journal, and journal in a way where you're creating your new identity. You're creating this new persona, you're learning through it, and you're becoming and shaping yourself as a bigger, better version of yourself.
I love that. I really love that.
Cam, I'm curious, when you decided to write this story, and you said that you were Shomo, was chasing you and you were one of the last. Did you have any hesitation around sharing this sort of intimate part of yourself? And number one, did you have any hesitation? Number two, anyone who's reading this who will be in various stages of their life, what would you want them to take action on or make a change on in their own life based on what you share?
Absolutely. Many hesitations. One, my relationships in my life are very important. So when you share your story, you also want, you have to make sure that everyone's okay with what you share and how you share. And oftentimes your perspective is your perspective. You can only be a narrator of your story. And I always say, I don't know if I took away the reference to it or not, but there's a movie called Life Itself, and it kind of talks about life being an unreliable narrator, because you come from your perspective, and your perspective is not always accurate, because we put our meaning to anything that happens, right? And our meaning comes from where we are in our space and time, right? So when I was writing that, and I'm always a very conscious person, so I want to say, okay, I felt it this way, what did the other person feel? Or where were they coming from, what was their thought process, right? And my relationships with my mom is very important to me. I mean, she's the most important person in my life, so that maintaining that was very important. Getting her approval for me was very important, just like you, Priyanka, like that is important, as well as sharing my story, right? The hard part was, like I said, when I used to journal, it takes me in that time and space, and you feel what you don't want to feel, right? So now that you're far removed from that part of your journey, and you've grown and you evolved, it was taking me back to that place. So there was a lot of start and stop, start and stop. No, I don't want to go there. No, I don't want to go there. There was also this fear of judgment, especially from Indian society, right? In our Indian culture, we don't share our problems. We want to always present life is good, sab theek hai, everything is perfect. And if it's not perfect, it will be perfect. We just talk about perfection. So there was that component, like, you being vulnerable, you putting your story out there. But then, like I said, I feel so supportive and I felt such a powerhouse of energy from all of you that and no one gave up. Like Shoma didn't give up and others didn't give up. So, and then I was encouraging Madhu to write her story. Then I'm like, yeah, if I, I should write mine too. So finally I got to terms with I have to write. And it may be like 10% or 20% of what I wanted to write, but it still speaks to the essence and the iceberg of what I wanted to share, and the rest can be imagined.
Yeah.
Are you breaking back,
Oh.
right?
Yes.
What is it you would want the reader to really walk away with? What was the thing that really made you say, yeah, I've got to do this, regardless of everything else, I just have to do this?
Right. So one point was that for any women that feel less than, that are made to feel less than what they are capable of, or made to feel less than their siblings or less than a whole person, right? I want them to feel that anything is possible. And the number one thing, and there's 3 points I always reference back that had given me success and inspiration, and I want others to drive inspiration for that, is like, believe in the possibilities. It all starts with the belief, right? If you give in and believe this is all that's possible, I was born to serve just in the home and do the laundry and cook and do the dirty diapers, that's all going to be happen for you, because that's what you believe in, right? So the belief is important. We were able to go to the moon because we believed we could, right? So a belief is the first thing. So keep in with your belief, and then go all in. Give it your all, work hard, because no matter how much, a dream is just going to be a dream if you don't start taking actions. It's all about take the imperfect action, keep moving forward and go all in. If you're going to bound to see failures, but then you keep trying, you don't give up after the first failure, you learn from it and say, I'm going to try something else. Yes, this didn't work, what is it telling me? That I should try something else, not that I should give up, right? And the third thing is, once you've achieved what you want, you need to serve with the heart, you need to give back. Those are the 3 core components. That's the gist of my whole journey, my whole life. That's my mantra that I go with, that you have to give back, because there is growth in giving. There's this immense satisfaction in giving, and we grow as a person, and we receive. Truly, when you give with your heart without thinking through it, you actually end up receiving more than if you would have otherwise. So giving is so important.
I love that piece, Sumina. Cam. Sumina is in front of me, so that came. Cam, so I think I want to repeat this line from your book, and I felt like it is so good. It goes with our title, Wings of a Woman. You said, I felt like a bird. I felt like a bird, not just ready to spread my wings and fly, but ready to soar at great heights while successfully knocking down all the hurdles along the way. It was exhilarating to be in the open air and the entire world welcoming me into its embrace. So beautiful, Cam. I just love this, and I want to like. Sumina, you want to say something? Like, I wanted to really end here, but I feel like this is such a beautiful completion of our beautiful interview, Cam. But is there anything else, Cam, you want to end this with?
I think that's my biggest inspiration, those 3 success mantras that I talk about. I feel if people can absorb that, take that in their life, and live their life through it, don't feel less than anyone or anybody. Don't limit your beliefs or your possibilities. You can keep working towards them. Don't give up, especially not if you're a woman.
I love that. And I want to say, like, there's one part of the story which we did not hit upon, Cam, which I want to keep as curiosity. But it's all around the riots which happened in India. And that was so intense, Cam. And thank you for taking us through what you were going through that moment. Because I have only read about it, I've seen movies around it. But you being in that place of riots happening, feeling unsafe, unprotected, and like trying to get answer, where is your dad, because he had gone for some engagement other city, and you still have not heard about him. So I think that part was so powerful. Madina, do you have insight on that? Maybe we can hit upon it a little bit.
I don't personally, because I was very young when that happened. I do remember stories when I was told that I was hiding in places that no one thought that you can hide in. However, I do want to say something before we end this interview. Cam, really celebrate yourself. You really broke through a very big thing that we are taught, that we are not to share our dirty laundry outside.
Mm-hmm.
Dirty laundry doesn't mean that it's bad. It means that you're evolving. And you have shown in every single story that you share that you evolved and that you've taken on that responsibility. And while you share these beautiful 3 steps with every single one listening, I want to add one little thing is celebrate yourself. Through every small, big step, change that you make your own, celebrate it. Life is too short to keep hurdles and keep all the negativity around you. Break through it, celebrate life, enjoy and welcome that beauty of life that we all are blessed with. Because at the end of the day, we were born out of love. We are a soul created out of love, and we are here in our spiritual beings, being in a body, experiencing life in the way that we are meant to.
Absolutely. I love that thought. And truly, I think I would embrace that. Celebrating ourselves is so important. And I think what a beautiful thing you said, which is exactly how I opened my chapter, that we are spiritual beings actually having a human experience as opposed to the other way around. So thank you for bringing that up again.
No problem at all. I mean, we are starting a movement. We have to own this movement. We have to show this movement, and we have to break through any barriers that come along. So thank you guys for being a part of this book and allowing me to be a part of this book. I really feel privileged.
Me too.
Likewise, I feel blessed to be part of you all, part of this book and to get to know all you wonderful women.
Thank you so much, Cam. That was amazing. That's the end of another fabulous interview.